So I hope everyone is feeling love. I hope that everyone is feeling love today by just being here with us at Rockland CSL, because we are the community of love. So if you're going to get love anywhere, you're going to get it here for sure. So we are in our remembering quadrant of our annual theme. And so for January, February, and March, we're focused on remembering. We're focused on remembering. Our annual theme this year is remembering, revisioning, and renewing. And our theme for this month, for February, is remember, life is calling. Remember, life is calling. And we are using Parker Palmer's book, Let Your Life Speak, as our companion book. So we have 2 more Sundays in this theme. And so next Sunday, our topic is a radical forgiving life. And the last Sunday is a seasoned life. And last Sunday, we talked about having time and taking the time and being intentional about listening to life, right? And if you recall, life gave you some homework. I didn't this time. It was life. I was just delivering the message, right? And so who did their homework? Let me see. Who even remembered? Ron, I see a hand raised if you're out there in Facebook land and you did your homework. Okay, all right. So let me remind you, life said to remember, listen from the inside out, not from the outside in. Seek guidance from within. Life also said, remember to listen to what your life is speaking and take notes. We get messages, write it down so that we can remember and reflect back on it. Life said, listen every day, not just sometimes, and not just when you feel like it. Listen every day, because life is so daily, as Willis Kinnear says in the 30-day mental diet. So we're making a daily spiritual practice of listening to life. And so today we're talking about an undivided life. And I loved one of the lines in the song that Eileen just sang. She said, heal the great divide. Heal the great divide. So let me ask a question. Are you living an undivided life or a divided life? Are you living an undivided life or a divided life? Now, if you're not sure, maybe you're not sure. So let me just give you a couple of signs of if you're living a divided life. These are the symptoms that you can look out for. Do you sense that something is missing in your life? Are you searching for it out there in the world? Do you sometimes feel like a fraud, even invisible, because you're not in the world as who you truly are meant to be? Do you feel like there are pieces of you that you dare not bring into the world, that you dare not show, that you keep hidden, so that you could try to get by and play a role that is acceptable to everyone but your soul? And last week I asked, do you sometimes catch a glimpse of your life? Like just a glimpse. And it's not the life that you are living right now. Are you sensing a deeper, truer calling on your life? So are you living an undivided life or a divided life? If the answers to those questions, any of them, are yes, it's okay. Because guess what? It's information. It's just information that you can use so that we can start doing what that song so beautifully encourages us to do, to start to heal the great divide. Parker Palmer writes in Let Your Life Speak, there comes a point in life when that divided life, that gap between who we really are and the face we put on in the larger world becomes painful. Not showing up in the world as your true self is painful. It's very painful. And I speak from what I know, because for many, many, many years of my life, I showed up as I expected people wanted me to show up as. So I wouldn't ruffle any feathers. I wouldn't make anybody feel uncomfortable, right? Parker says, living that way is really being afraid of our own inner light, afraid that our inner light will be extinguished or our inner darkness exposed. So we hide our true identities from each other. And in the process, we become separated from our souls. We end up living divided lives, so far removed from the truth we hold from within that we cannot know the integrity that comes from being who and what we are. And I just call that living half alive. When we're living a divided life, we are living half alive. And so life is calling us, right? That pain that we might be feel, that we might feel, that discomfort that we might feel, is life calling us to heal that great divide, right? But many of us are still ignoring that call, and we continue to live half alive. But I know y'all, all y'all right here, have answered the call, right? Have started the journey, right? Are still on the journey of rejoining your soul and your role in the world. Now, don't be fooled. This doesn't happen to everyone. Doesn't choose to live an undivided life, to live in their purpose. Many, 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 many folks do not, right? And that's okay. That's okay, because eventually we will all get there. We will all get there. Parker says it doesn't happen to everyone. Some people adjust to it. Some people live their whole lives that way, divided. But for a lot of people, the divided life becomes that source of pain. And we have to find some way to close the gap. The divided life is a wounded life, and the soul keeps calling us to heal the wound, right? That beautiful meditation that Jan took us through, right? Dialoguing with those parts of us that are in pain, right? The dialogue with pain is from a place of love, a place of wholeness, right? Our soul speaks from wholeness. So what is an undivided life, you might be asking, right? An undivided life is living in harmony. It's a life that expresses the truth of who we are. Living an undivided life is a spiritual growth process. It's not like you arrive. You continue to evolve and to grow, right? Because we are involved. In order to evolve, we have to be involved in life. It's not the other way around. It's an inside job. So we know that we're living an undivided life when we are living in the wholeness of God, expressing uniquely, as Jan said, as each one of us. The individualized expressions of God. There is no division in that. So we know we are living in that wholeness, right? We know that we're living in the wholeness of who we are is a requirement. It's a requirement for living an undivided life. So we have to let go of 100%, let go of who we are not. Let it go. Let it go. We have to let go of people pleasing. We have to let go of compromising ourselves to fit in. We have to let go of our comfort zones. We have to let go of dimming our light. We have to let go of 100% of that role that we've been playing, because guess what? You are miscast. If you are not living your life as God designs, then you are living another role, and that's not your role. You are miscast. You are miscast. So it's time to end the divide between the life you are living and the life that wants to live in you, and start living an undivided life now. Or you can choose to continue to believe that you are here to live a divided life and to not be who you truly are. We have that choice. And we can make that choice consciously or unconsciously, but the choice is being made. And I have to tell you, when I was in the throes of living my life from a place of division against myself, I was exhausted. I was exhausted. It's like juggling. It's like juggling parts of yourself because you feel splintered off from the truth of who you know you really are. You can hear the whispering. You could feel it in your body, right? But yet you know that something is amiss. And yet you just keep on going. You just keep on juggling, keep on splintering, right? What you're doing, the relationships that we're in, the jobs that we say yes to, right? When it's not in alignment with who we are, it's exhausting to keep that going. And one of the big things that we do is that in this juggling, we think that we can be who we are sometimes, and then at other times, not be who we are, right? But guess what? That's leading and living a divided life, right? Imagine if God was God sometimes. Right? God was just God on Mondays and Fridays, and maybe Sunday, because a lot of people go to church on Sundays, right? No. God is whole and made us that way too. So believing that we could juggle being who we are sometimes, and then other times not be who we are, is so ineffective. It's just like thinking you could multitask, right? It's just like thinking you could multitask. I say in the welcome, don't multitask with God. Well, don't multitask with your life either. I just started Transcendental Meditation. I shared this before because it's one of the things that I have been, I'm getting the thumbs up from folks here on Zoom. And it's one of those things that I've been very curious about for decades, and I just never did anything about it. And so this year I've shared that one of my qualities for the year is curiosity. And so I am encouraging myself to do those things that I have been curious about. And TM, Transcendental Meditation, is one of those things. And so one of the things that I love about TM is that there's always a group meditation happening via Bob Roth, who's the CEO of the David Lynch Foundation, and who, by the way, is hilarious to me. And so yesterday I woke up and it was just in time for the morning TM group meditation led by David Roth. And so before he goes into the meditation, he always shares something of interest to him, and usually of interest to me too, because he's like a research nerd. And so yesterday he was sharing about research that the Cleveland Clinic did on multitasking, right? So I want to share some of this with you. So the Cleveland Clinic did research, and this was the result of the research about multitasking. It doesn't work, right? And so they put out a paper called Why Multitasking Doesn't Work. The bottom line of the research showed that we are not multitaskers. We are wired to be monotaskers, meaning that our brains can only focus effectively on one task at a time. So so-called multitasking divides our attention. It makes it harder for us to give our full attention to any one thing. The more we multitask, the less we actually accomplish, because we slowly lose our ability to focus enough to learn. Our brains are even working harder. Our brains are working harder. The research says another pitfall is that trying to do too much at once makes it harder to be mindful and truly present in the moment. So you could take out multitasking, right? And drop in how that applies to when we are living a divided life. Trying to multitask who we truly are with who we are not being in the world. So we are monotask, one. We were made in the oneness. We were made in the oneness. So if you think you're a multitasker, I hope I have convinced you that you cannot be. It is exhausting, right? And so if we're wired to be monotaskers, we are also wired to live one life, one undivided life. And what is that one life, right? We often say in spiritual mind treatment that there is one life. This life is good. This life is God. This life is my life now. So it isn't hard to focus when you're living an undivided life. You're charged up, you're excited, right? Because you're living in your purpose. You're living from your soul's calling. But when you're in that divided life, you often feel like your life is all over the place, right? It's hard to focus. It's hard to be mindful. It's hard to be in the present moment because you're thinking about what else you have to do, what else you have to be. Your default position is probably an overwhelmed. It's probably an overwhelmed. So please, as of today, give this to yourself as your Valentine's present. Don't multitask your life. Love yourself because life loves you. Don't multitask your life. What are you focusing on? Let's focus on being the undivided whole that we were created as. Because guess what? Wholeness cannot be divided against itself. Yet we work really hard at doing that. We work really hard at tearing ourselves apart by judging ourselves, by being critical of ourselves, by not acknowledging the shadow of ourselves, the parts that hurt within ourselves, the parts we don't like, right? We don't have to tear any of that apart. We can invite it in, welcome everything into the wholeness, because the wholeness can hold it. So living an undivided life is living in right relationship with life. Who's been in a bad relationship? All the hands are up. It was delightful, wasn't it? You couldn't wait, right? Oh, what's going to happen today in this bad relationship that I'm in that's draining the life out of me? Right? Oh, can't wait. No. Who said that? Never. Never. So life wants us to be in right relationship with it. And we do that from a place of wholeness. We do that from a place of wholeness. It's a personal relationship, y'all. It's a personal relationship between you, yourself, and the divine. It's nobody else's business. Nobody else's business. I love this Bible verse. It's Matthew 6:33. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and its righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. So when we live a divided life, we are seeking fragments when the whole is at hand, right? Seek ye first the kingdom. Where is the kingdom? The kingdom is within us. The kingdom is within us, but yet we are seeking that which is without us, external to us, thinking that that will make us feel whole, right? But only the wholeness, only seeking the kingdom first is whole. It is our conscious union with life, with the divine, with God, with whatever you want to call it. Seek it first. Seek it first. Ernest Holmes says in the Science of Mind text, the universe is a perfect, undivided whole, and healing can take place only when one is unified with it. The truth is wholeness, everything, all of me. When we want to heal that great divide, we do it from a place of undivided wholeness. That is where the healing takes place. So now it's time to heal that divide. Are you willing? Just takes a little willingness. Just a little willingness to start to close that gap between the life you are living and the life that wants to live in you, through you, and as you. That's why we're in this remembering quadrant for 3 months, because we need to remember. We need to get it in there. Every time we forget, we got to remember again, right? Every single day. So here are some things to help us to remember. And only pay attention if you want to live an undivided life. If you want to live a divided life, go and multitask. go multitask and do something. But if you want to live an undivided life, take this in. Let's remember, we must be deliberately disciplined. That's number one. We must be deliberately disciplined. And you know, the origins of the word discipline is disciple. is disciple. So what are you following? Who are you following? Where are you going? Right? So we must be deliberately disciplined. And being disciplined doesn't require more time. We also have this notion about time, right? That we don't have time to live the life of our heart's desire. And nor does it take willpower. It takes being intentional. It takes being dedicated. It takes being committed. It takes a willingness. It takes making a decision and letting nothing move you from that. Disciplining our mind on what and who we are and nothing else. 2, we must be definite about the life we want to express. Being definite is being bounded by precision. Definiteness is being bounded by precision. So there's no flip-flopping with your life to fit into someone else's. There's no flip-flopping. You have already chosen your life. You did it before you came into this physical form. So let's say yes. Let's say yes to everything that's in alignment with that life, this life. And let's say no to everything that is not. Let's be definite. 3, we must be consistent. We must be consistent in showing up. Ultimately, be consistent in showing up as God's representative. We know how it feels when we go to a store or something and the staff has no idea what good customer service is. They're representing, let's say Target. They're representing Target. We all are representing God. So how are we showing up as God's representatives? And do we show up as that consistently? Do we show up as love's representatives consistently? Consistency, the origins of that word is to cause to stand. Consistency is about taking a stand every day, no matter what. And what are we taking a stand for? We're taking a stand for our lives. Because what does the world need? The world needs people who are living undivided lives. So when we rejoin our role with our soul, that is a cause to stand for. And for all of my perfectionists out there, consistency is more important than perfection. So if you talk yourself out of stuff because this isn't perfect yet, let it go. That's just another way to get yourself back into being divided. 4, practice discernment. So anything that does not align with your truth, with the life that you were designed to express in the world, use discernment. Is this for me or not? And I shared that story about taking a position and trying to make it fit in. And all I was causing was a gap. And so I had to say no. because it didn't align with the truth of who I am, right? So we're always at a place of discernment. It could be about work, about relationships, right? Discerning our inner dialogue. What are you listening to? The critic? The encourager? The forgiver? What are you listening to? Have discernment about what it is that you're listening to from within yourself, and discern what you're allowing to come in from the outside world. And 5, and we already touched on this one. Remember that an undivided life requires our undivided attention, and it requires paying attention. We have to notice. And it's hard to notice if you're multitasking. So remember that we are monotaskers. I just had a thought. The next time you go on a job interview, because I love that line for requirements and experience and stuff. You see it on job postings, being able to multitask, right? That's what they want, people who are able to multitask. So the next time you're at an interview and the interviewer says, oh, so are you able to multitask? Because we have a lot of things, You say, oh, no. I don't multitask. I'm a monotasker. I do one thing at a time, and I do it really well. Yes. They might look at you like you got 2 heads, but it's okay. It's okay. So we are monotaskers about our lives, and we are doing it from a place of wholeness. So you can live the life that wants to live in you, through you, and as you. You can live as the wholeness that you already are. You don't have to go and become whole someplace. You are already whole. You are already whole. Because we were not made for division or fragmentation. God left nothing out. Nothing was left out. Because we are made from oneness, and we are made from wholeness. So it's time, y'all, to live life fully. No more living life half alive. No more living life in the divide. We are about that undivided life. We're about showing up as the truth of who and whose we are, because that is what the world needs now more than ever. So who's with me? Say with me, I am a monotasker. Yes.